Liberal Dan Radio presents
Fat Man Rants.
Welcome back to another episode of Liberal Dan Radio Fat Man Rants. Now, later we'll be talking about something that I predicted on a previous Fat Man Rant that I thought was a little bit of sounding like a conspiracy theory, but Donald Trump just verified it on Hannity. But first, on Hannity, he was talking about absentee balloting and being sent ballots unsolicited. Let's listen to what he had to say first, and then I'll rant about it.
Well, it's a disaster, and it's going to be, no matter how you look at it. They're sending out 51 million ballots to people that didn't ask for them. Now, absentee ballots are great. I used one for Florida, and a lot of people use absentee. A lot of people in Florida use them, but that's when you go through a process. You ask for it, they send it to you, and it's very secure. There's nothing like going to the voters booth, by the way, but and we should have voter ID, which the Democrats don't want for obvious reasons, with your picture on it. But absentee is good, but they want to send, it's called mail-in, universal mail-in ballots. 51 million ballots sent to who knows who. I mean, where are they going? This is going to be the greatest scam in history. This will be the most fraudulent election in history. 51 million ballots being sent to people. Many of them will have been dead. Many of them will get more than one. But it's going to be a really horrible thing. Just a horrible, horrible thing.
Okay, when he's talking about the 51 million ballots that are being sent out, it's not ballots. It's forms to request an absentee ballot that are being sent out. And he's complaining, oh, well, it went to a cat, and it went to this, and it went to a dead person, because the records that they might have might not be 100% up to date. But if it goes to a cat, guess what? The cat can't fill it out. Then when they send the application back with the cat, the registered voter is going to be like, well, this person does not actually have a ID to vote. They're not registered to vote because, they're a cat, and we can't send a ballot to this person. So they're never going to get the ballot. But that's the first thing, that he's talking about applications to get a ballot and not a ballot themselves. But here's the other thing, and this is very important. The Republican Party in both North Carolina and in Florida are doing what he's complaining about. They are sending out applications to get absentee ballots to Republicans and independent voters that they feel lean right. They are sending them unsolicited applications to get these forms so they can get the application, then go sign up for the ballot. Unsolicited. The very same thing that Donald Trump is complaining about and he's saying is fraudulent, the Republican Party is doing. Do as I say, not as I do. That's hypocrisy to the nth degree. And guess what? At least several of the people who have gotten these absentee ballot request forms unsolicited in the mail no longer exist in Florida. One of them moved to a different state. So they're not only sending out unsolicited absentee ballot forms so that they could be requested, they're sending them to people without verifying that they actually are registered to vote or still live in the state of Florida to begin with. So it's extreme hypocrisy to the nth degree, first. Second of all, again, Donald Trump just proves that he doesn't know what he's talking about because they're not sending absentee ballots to the people. They're sending the forms to get absentee ballots. So there's another step, and the voter has to go through that step. Now, on to my prediction. In the previous video that I made, I said this. And this is what I'm worried about. What happens when they stop just wanting to protect federal assets and they start wanting to protect other things like elections? Because we all know he's going to fight tooth and nail against mail-in voting, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. But then he's also going to send these federal agents who are armed to the teeth to defend elections. And it's going to make people not want to come out to the polls because they're not want to deal with those federal agents or troops or whatever it is. And that's how he's going to try and steal this election. Now, at the time, I thought that was very conspiracy theory-like of me. It's probably the most conspiracy theory thing I've ever said seriously. And I was concerned that, well, maybe this would be seen as me going a little bit too far off the deep end with my conspiracy theories, or with a conspiracy theory, I should say. But then Trump said this on Hannity.
My question to you then is, are you going to have poll watchers? Are you going to have an ability to monitor to avoid fraud and cross-check whether or not these are registered voters, whether or not there's been identification to know that it's a real vote from a real American?
We're going to have everything. We're going to have sheriffs, and we're going to have law enforcement, and we're going to have, hopefully, U.S. attorneys, and we're going to have everybody and attorney generals.
And there you have it, folks. I predicted it weeks ago that he would be sending law enforcement to protect the election, and he just admitted it just there, that he's going to try and send these same law enforcement folks down to protect elections. And you know where they're going to go. They're not going to go to the lily white neighborhoods, the conservative neighborhoods. They're going to be harassing voters in the areas where, Democrats vote, liberals vote. That is, again, how he's going to steal this election. First and foremost, he is trying to make it so that everybody looks at the election as going to be fraudulent before it ever even happens. Then he's going to cast doubts in an election system with absentee balloting that already happens in these states. And he's going to push for his own voters to do it while making it look like it was not legitimate for the other people to do it. And then he's going to send in law enforcement to intimidate voters. So there you have it. I've just been proven right. This president is going to try and steal this election by using law enforcement and sending them down to harass and intimidate voters to keep them from the polls. And it's disgusting, and it's sick, and it's un-American, and he should be ashamed of himself, but I don't think he knows the definition of the word shame.